Okay, we are recording.
So, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and I just want to thank the Harrison Library for having me again. They're just all so wonderful to work with, and it's always such a nice afternoon when we do these. I know it's a beautiful day outside, so I don't blame anybody for not tuning in, but thank you for those that have tuned in. And today we are making a pastry cream tart with summer fruit. And it's going to have a sweet, it's a pate sucree, which is French for a sweet crust. So it's going to be like a sweet cookie crust that we're going to be making. So the first thing I want to do is I want to start with the pastry cream. And I know there's a lot of moving parts, but these all can be made in steps. So you can make the pastry cream the night before, you can make the tart shell the night before and put it all together the next day. So don't feel like this is very overwhelming because it can be done in separate steps. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our pastry cream, and I'm going to turn it turned on to about a medium heat. Okay, and we have a nice overhead shot so everybody can see that. So for the pastry cream, we are going to use, and the only mistake in the recipe was that the milk for the pastry cream, it's 1.5 cups, not 1 cup. So if your recipe that you got or the one on the website says 1 cup, it is 1.5 cups. So I'm going to have 1.5 cups of whole milk. And you want to use the whole milk because it's just going to give you a richer, more silkier pastry cream. And then I have 1/2 cup of heavy cream. And then it says 1/2 cup of sugar. We are going to split that. So we're going to add half of the sugar to the milk and the cream mixture. Okay. And we're just going to mix that up. And we want to heat this up till it gets warm and until the sugar dissolves. And we're just going to let that go. So while we are waiting for this, okay, I'm just going to kind of push this out of the way. While we're waiting for that, we have our egg yolks, and we have 4 egg yolks. And to the egg yolks, we're going to add the other half of the sugar, and we are going to add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, which is the thickener in here. And in order to activate the thickening properties of the cornstarch, we want it to just come to a boil. And then we know that we're using the power to thicken that pastry cream. So you're not going to get a thin kind of watery pastry cream. So we want to whisk these eggs and the sugar and the cornstarch until it's, we're going to add just a little pinch of salt. Just a little bit. And we're going to whisk this until it's nice and smooth. And a little trick is, unless you're going to whisk immediately, do not put the sugar with the egg yolks and just let it sit there, because it will start to cause the egg yolks to kind of get really weird, and you're going to get bits of egg in there, and you're going to have like little lumps. So as long as you're going to do it, start whisking immediately, you're good. Okay, so we're going to set this aside. We're going to come back to our milk and our cream, and we're going to just keep going. And there's still a little sugar there on the bottom, so we are going to just keep mixing it around until it is dissolved. So this is a really nice tart to do in the summer. The only baking that's required is that tart shell, and if you want to do it during the cooler part of the day, like first thing in the morning or at night, and get that out of the way, you don't have to turn your oven on just for that, and then you're done. And you can also use any kind of fruit you like. Today I have mangoes, strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, and raspberries. I wanted some kiwi, but I couldn't find any at the supermarket today. So those are the fruit that we are using. And if you don't like any one of those, remove it and just use something else. But summer, there's so much fruit out there right now. You can even maybe slice peaches, slice plums, but we're going to use some berries and the mango. I'm just gonna kind of see. Yeah, it's starting to get warm. I might turn this up just a little bit. Okay. This has just got to get a little warm. So do we have any questions right now before, while we're waiting for this sugar to dissolve and for this to get warm? Anybody? Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to what is called tempering the eggs. We are going to take this warm mixture and we are going to very, very gradually add it to the eggs while we are whisking. And what this will do is prevent your eggs from becoming scrambled. If you were to dump this hot milk all at once into the eggs, you could end up with something that looks like scrambled eggs, which is not what we want. We want to keep it nice and smooth, and we want to bring the temperature of the eggs very slowly up to the temperature of the milk. So we're going to add it very, very gradually. And I think we are about there. I don't see any more sugar, because I was seeing some sugar on the end of the spatula when I would scrape the bottom. So
we have a question that's not joined
sure.
late, and she's asking, is it just water and sugar in the pot?
No, this is milk and heavy cream. The recipe should be out there online on the Harrison Library website. It's milk, heavy cream, and sugar. So we're going to take this off the heat, and here's our eggs. Okay. And like I said, we're going to add this very gradually and while we are whisking. So just a little bit at a time. And there we go. Very gradually. And you can see the eggs are still staying nice and smooth. We're not getting any lumps. And I would add about half of this. And then the eggs should be about the same temperature as the milk. Okay. All right. So then we are going to add our tempered eggs back to the milk. Make sure we get everything out of this bowl. There we go. That side. I'm going to get my burner again. And we are going to start whisking. This may take a little time. So this is going to. Okay.
It's a question. Is there an egg substitute that you would suggest?
For what? Substitute, what are we substituting for?
To substitute the eggs. So if we don't want to use eggs, is there something else that we could use
You
instead?
really can't make pastry cream without eggs.
Thanks.
That's one of the key ingredients in pastry cream. You could, I don't do a lot of, egg substitutes or, dairy substitutes. I do a little bit of gluten-free, but I don't. So I really don't, couldn't even begin to tell you how to make a pastry cream without eggs. If you want to be really, really simple, again, in the tart, we're using eggs. You could do a different crust without an egg and then just use maybe some whipped cream and then your berries. But I've never made a pastry cream without an egg. That's one of the key ingredients in a pastry cream is eggs. So I'm sorry, I couldn't really answer that question.
No worries.
So we're going to keep whisking this. Like I said, we want it to come to just below a boil, just till it just starts to boil and we see some bubbles. Okay, there's bubbles on top because I've been whisking, but not boiling bubbles. We're going to just keep whisking this a little bit. And this takes time. This is something that I wouldn't walk away from when it's on the heat. You want to keep an eye on it because it will start to burn or it will start to stick on the bottom. Okay, I'm just going to raise that a little bit. And your burner's on your oven, how high I mean, it's starting to smoke, so we're starting to get there. It hasn't quite started to thicken yet. Be able to tell more with like a spatula. It's starting to thicken. Everybody can see that. So in the recipe, it says to strain it into a bowl and then put your flavoring in, wherever it may be. Today we're using some vanilla bean paste. And okay, here we go. We're really starting to get thick now. Okay. You can see the lines of the whisk are starting to show in there. You can see that it's starting to thicken. And see the bubbles? Everybody can see those bubbles? So we just want to whisk for about another minute after we start seeing those bubbles. And then we know we're going to activate the thickening power of that cornstarch. No, and it smells really good. It's the cream and eggs and just smells delicious in here. And when I put the vanilla in, it's just going to be even better. Okay, as you can see, I'll show you with the spatula, it's really starting to get thick. Okay, so it's really bubbling now. Okay, so we're just going to whisk that just maybe another 20 seconds. There we go. And this will firm up in the fridge. This is why I did it first, because we're going to stick it in the fridge, and I'll show you a tip on how to get it to cool down faster. Okay, I think we are there. Okay, I'm going to take this off the heat for a sec. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm just going to move it out of the way because we really don't need it again. It's taking up space. Okay. So the recipe says to pour it through a strainer, just in case you get any bits of egg or egg white or anything in there, which you just can't help but have that happen, no matter how careful you are with your tempering. But I'm going to add, and the reason you want to add the vanilla or your flavoring off the heat is because with the heat, what's going to happen is if you're sitting there, this is boiling, and you add the vanilla, a lot of vanilla is going to be evaporate or the flavor is going to dissipate. So you're not going to really get a really strong vanilla flavor. And today we're using vanilla bean paste, which has a lot of the little seeds in it, which is a really intense vanilla flavor. So if you like your, really intense vanilla pastry cream, this is definitely the way to go. So today I'm going to add it in the pot because I'm going to show you a little trick to cool this down. So if we were to put it into a bowl, it's all kind of together. It's going to take a long time for the middle part of that pastry cream to cool down. So if you are in a hurry, this is what I would recommend. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of the pastry cream. And this is so nice because you get those little vanilla beans like you see in the Breyer's vanilla ice cream. If you can see them, if they're there. Okay. So I've got a pan here. And I am going to put the whisk right there, and I'm going to pour it through the whisk into the pan. Okay, there we go. Get every last little bit out of there. Oh, I just want to lick the bowl right here. It's so good. Okay. We're going to push this through, and you can see, everybody can see, there's kind of little bits of egg white in there that you don't want in your pastry cream. So that's why we are going to put it through a strainer. Okay. Then we're just going to kind of make a nice thin layer, because this is what's going to make it cool a lot quicker than having it in a bowl all together. And then I'm going to take some plastic wrap, and you would do this with the bowl too. Put it directly on the surface of the pastry cream, and that will stop a skin from forming. Just kind of press it very light. You don't have to really, just make sure that it just sits on top of the pastry cream. I'm going to get this in the fridge. I'll be right back. clean up a few things. So the next one what we're going to do is we're going to work on the crust. Okay. And I do it in a food processor. It's super, super easy to do. Into the food processor, we're going to put our all-purpose flour. We're going to put confectioner's sugar, powdered sugar. And we have they're all in there. And we have some baking powder, just a little bit, and some salt. And we're just going to pulse that a couple of times to just get it all mixed up. There we go. I'm going to put this so that you can see, hopefully see the side of the, no, I think we're not far enough. I think you can see the side of the mixer. Okay. Once that's mixed up, we're going to take some cold, very cold butter and that has been cut into cubes, and we're just going to toss it in there. And this crust can be used for any filling you want. You can use it maybe for like a chocolate pudding pie, or yeah, just anything. You could even like fill it with ice cream and put it in the freezer and then put whipped cream on top of it. That would be really good. Okay, so then we're going to pulse this about 12 to 14 times to get the butter incorporated. And we're not doing this like a pie crust where we want to see big chunks of butter. This is more like a cookie crust. Okay. And then to that, all we're adding is an egg yolk. And then we're going to pulse until it starts to come together. And you'll be able to see it come together. Keep pulsing. This works, I think, better than continuously having the food processor on, because it really kind of shakes it up and gets the stuff on the bottom up to the top. You can if you can see, it's starting to look like kind of little curds where it's starting to form a dough. And there we go. See it? Starting to clump together, and that's just about where we want it. So I'm going to take a piece of plastic wrap, and that we can chill in here. There we go. We're going to take the dough out of here. Put it onto the plastic. And depending on the shape of the tart you're making, that's the shape you should kind of get it into, give you a little head start on the roll. So we're doing a round tart today. I know the picture on the library was a rectangular one I had done for 4th of July. And it's this exact same crust, the exact same filling, and just we used blueberries and strawberries. To kind of get it, I mean, this is about a ½ inch thick. So it gets you a little head start on the rolling. Okay, and we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to stick it in the fridge. You could do this the night before. You could do it in the morning, so you could bake it off that night. But you want it in there a couple of hours. You want it to be nice and stiff, and that's just going to make it easier, much easier for you to roll this out. I'm going to stick it in the fridge. I'm just going to move some things around. So when you're rolling out any dough, I know it can be difficult, and you don't want to add a lot of flour to it because that will toughen your dough. So I have a silicone mat that I like to use. You can also roll it between 2 sheets of parchment paper so it doesn't stick. So we're just gonna roll it here, and let me get my tart pan. So this is the kind of tart pan we're using. You're not going to believe this, but I cannot find the bottom to my other round one. I do have a square one, and it has a removable bottom. And this makes it so easy for you to take the tart out of the pan. So I think we're going to do a square one today because I cannot find the bottom to the round one, but that's okay. You just got to roll with it. No pun intended. Okay, so I have some crust that I already made earlier today, and it's very, very stiff, which is what, and hard. It's what you want. Okay, we're going to, I'm just going to take a tiny bit of flour, and that's all you need, and kind of rub it into this mat. And I've got my rolling pin. And I'm just going to put just a little flour on that. The colder it is, the less flour you're going to need. So there we go. So this is going to be a square tart instead. So we're going to roll. And I always like to roll from the middle. Don't go over the edges because the tendency is to push really hard and then the edges aren't the same thickness as the middle is. So don't really go over the edge like the front and the back. So I'm just going to keep kind of churning this. And if I need just a little bit of flour, I'm just going to put it on. Okay, and we're going to roll this out. And another good thing to move your dough around, and I would recommend moving it and lifting it a lot so that it doesn't stick, is a bench scraper. I'm going to move that and I'm going to fold it again. I'm going to turn it again. And I can see it's just starting to stick a tiny bit to my rolling pin. So again, I'm just going to, very little, the minimum amount that you need. Okay.
You know, we have a question. Does the crust go in the fridge or the freezer?
What? The what?
Crust, the crust.
You can, if you want to put it in the freezer, you can to speed up getting it cold. That's fine. Just don't leave it in there too long because if it's frozen solid, really frozen solid, you're going to have a really tough time rolling it out. You're going to have to let it sit on the counter a little bit. I'm just going to see how big my tart pan is. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think I'm just going to do a tiny, tiny little bit. And we can always, if we're a little short, we can always patch. We can always patch it. Okay. Again, we're going to make sure that this is moving around a little bit. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I like to kind of roll it up on the rolling pin. And this is a really forgiving dough, so you can, like, if you get a rip or a tear or a hole, you can patch it. Go like this. When you're putting it in here, I'll show you right here. When you're putting it in, try not to stretch it. Kind of just push it in, because then it will shrink. Okay. Pushing it in. Go. If you have long nails, be careful because you can make holes in it. So There we go. Now, there are some places that you can see where we need a little dough, and we're gonna fix that. I know, so we wanna get rid of the excess dough. I've seen some people, some chefs, some people will roll their rolling pin on here. I don't recommend that because this is pretty sharp, this edge, and what will happen is you'll start to get dents in your rolling pin and things will get stuck in it. So I just use your hands. Just use your hands to just press it like this, all the way around. Everybody can see. Just press it all the way around. Okay. Okay, so we have some left over. And we are just going to do a little bit of a patch job, which is perfectly fine. Like I said, this dough is like very, very, very forgiving. Okay, and we just need a little bit over here. Okay, I'm going to take the excess off. And then what I like to do, what's really nice is if you want to take your excess and then just use some little tiny cookie cutters and cut them out and roll it out of it and cut it, maybe sprinkle a little sugar on and bake them. You can use them to decorate the tart too. So what I like to do is with one hand, I like to push the side up and the other one on the top so that we get a nice even top. Here we go. Got a little extra, again, you can just take it off. The corners, if there's a little extra in the corner, that's fine because they seem to be very delicate and you don't want this to break when you're taking it out of the tart pan. Okay. And there we go. So you have a nice lined tart pan. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a fork and I'm going to dot the bottom. I'm going to make little holes so that some steam escapes so that it doesn't like puff up. Even though we're going to weight these with some pie weights, I still like to do this. So just a few here and there. So
Tina, did you spray the pan before putting the crust?
no, this one is a non-stick pan, so I don't have to. Most of the pans, I mean, there's enough butter in here where even if, like this one, this is the one I used to make the round one. It's a shiny metal, and I didn't need to spray the pan or butter the pan at all. There's enough butter in there where I think you're going to be okay. So what I would normally do is take this and put it in the freezer for maybe 10 minutes for it to firm up, or the refrigerator for 30 to 40 minutes before it goes in the oven. So it's going to go in a 375-degree oven. And then we are going to take a piece of parchment paper, about this a little bit bigger. And I like to squeeze it like this and crumble it up because it makes it more pliable and easier to get into the pie. So, but before we put it in, so it doesn't stick, this is where you want to take some baking spray, your pan or whatever it is, and spray the paper. And then we're going to take and put the spray side obviously down against the pastry. And again, we're just assuming that this has been chilled, like 10 minutes in the freezer, 30 minutes in the refrigerator. So make sure that it's fitted in there because we don't want it to puff up. Okay. And then we are going to take, if you have pie weights, use the pie weights. I have a container of red kidney beans that I use over and over again for this purpose. I just use it as pie weights. I mean, they're cheaper than pie weights. You can reuse them, and then if you have to throw them away, they're biodegradable. So it's a win-win all the way around. And then we're just gonna make sure it gets they get in the corner. Okay. And then we're going to take this and put it in a 375-degree oven for 15 minutes. When it comes out, we are going to carefully take out the paper with the beans, put it back in the oven and bake it for another maybe 10 minutes. And I'll show you what we get. And this is the one I did earlier. It's nice and brown. If your edges are getting a little brown, you can always cover it with a little foil in there. But usually, I mean, this is nice. I like the way this looks. The bottom is nice and brown. It's nice and crisp. It's cooked all the way through because we are not cooking our filling. So you want this cooked all the way through. So that's what our finished pie crust will look like. Okay. Any questions up until now? Okay.
No, you answer them all.
Just gonna just straighten out for 2 minutes. We're gonna do the fun part. We're gonna fill it, and we are going to decorate with our fruit filling. This is also a great thing to like clean up your counter with too. I'm gonna go check on the pastry cream to see how we're doing. Okay. So I actually put my pastry cream in the freezer, and it's pretty well cooled down because this metal pan will hold the cold too. So this is really nice. So I'm very happy with how it cooled off. Again, you can put it in a bowl, put the plastic wrap on top, and overnight. You can keep it in the fridge overnight or make it early in the morning for that. So here is our tart. Okay. We're going to take the plastic off. There we go. Offset spatula. So we're going to take the pastry cream and we're just going to put it right in our shell. Do it faster like this. Again, this is a super great tip for cooling off your pastry cream very quickly. Okay. Oh, actually, some of it almost started to freeze, but we're okay. Again, if you do put it in the freezer, do not forget about it. This is to do if you're going to use it pretty much immediately. If not, just put it in the fridge, in the bowl, and just let it stay there and cool down. And I like to get this in the fridge really quick, even though it's hot, because I hate for hot things to sit out, because that's when the bacteria forms and you're dealing with eggs and cream and stuff like that. So I'm just going to take an offset spatula and I'm going to just smooth it out all the way around. There we go. Okay. And it right to the edges. Okay. There we go. So I know if you look out online, there's tons of fruit tarts, and most people will like do a ring of strawberries and a ring of blueberries, a ring of red. So it's pretty, it's beautiful. We're going to do a couple of fun things here with our fruit. Okay, like I said, I have some mangoes, some strawberries, some raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries. So this is some fun stuff to do, and I'm going to show you overhead. is I'm going to take the mango and I'm going to cut a few thin slices. So what I did with the mango was, this is the mango. I cut on either side of the seed, one cut. This is what I'm left with, the seed. And then I used a vegetable peeler to peel off the skin and get down, you know, so you can see the nice yellow fruit. And you don't want, if you're doing this with mango, you don't want to get a fruit that's very ripe, because it will just fall apart. And if that happens, throw those chunks in the freezer and you can use them in a smoothie. Don't get rid of it. So you want one that's kind of firm, just the slightest bit soft, not, you know, just a nice firm one, not too firm. You don't want it like a rock, so because then it won't be ripe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few thin slices of the mango. Okay. I'm going to do maybe about 5, 6, or 7. Okay, that's one bunch. We're going to do another bunch. And this is where you can get creative and make it your own. Use whatever fruit you like, whatever your design you like. I know most of the time baking can be such an exact science with the temperature and, you know, weighing your ingredients and, you know, how things react with each other. But the decorating part is the fun part. Bunch here. And I'm going to do this with the strawberries too. This is kind of going to just be very free form. It's going to be like whatever I feel, you know. Okay, so we've got a couple of these cut. So we'll go back to our tart, and I'm going to take one bunch of the mango. And I'm going to kind of spread it out like this. Just kind of spread it out like that. This, spread it out. Do the same thing with these. Kind of spread it out. Takes a while. They're a little slippery, so it takes a little bit of doing. Do this one as well. Just kind of spread them out. Cool. Okay. This one needs a little more. Okay. There we go. So we're going to take our tart, and I'm going to take the mango that we've kind of spread out and kind of just do it in like a free form kind of pattern. Needs to be separated a little bit more. Okay, there we go. Oh, it's just so slippery. Okay. I'm going to do a little at a time. We are going to just kind of put it on our tart. I'm going to take some more, put some of that over here. And then maybe this one over here. You can also take and kind of roll them up into little roses, little rosettes, which are really cute. Just like that. Roll them up. Here we go. We can do another one. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing with the strawberries. We've got some that are already cut. Again, you know what would work really well? An offset spatula. put some strawberries there. And I'll show you how I did the strawberries. So I cut the tops of the strawberries, I cut them in half. And then I'm just going to, same thing, just slice them very thin. I think the strawberries are a little easier to kind of fan out. Okay, put some over here. We'll do another one. Okay. So is everybody from close by? Is everybody from Eastchester? Do we have some people that are a little farther away? You can comment right in the box. Okay, maybe put some strawberries right there. And we'll do another one. And again, just keep building. I'm doing all the sliced first, and then I'm going to do the berries, the other berries. Okay. Right there. Maybe another mango rosette. That one's a little thick. Let's try doing some here. Those you need to be really thin so you can roll them. And again, the mango is like really slippery. So put one over here. Okay, I think we need a few more strawberries. So any questions up until now while I'm making these slices, or any other baking questions while we're waiting?
Nope.
Another one over
Question.
there. Another one. This strawberry kind of fell apart, so we'll use another one. Okay. And again, just keep doing that. Okay, I think we've got enough sliced fruit. Okay, maybe we'll fill in later. So there we have so far. And now I'm going to add in our other berries. Just till we cover the top. Okay. Go. That one here. And the blueberries are small, so they're always really good fillers. We want to make sure that we cover the top of the pastry cream. Okay. And again, you can, make it how you want it. Use some, the fruit that you like.
So now we have a question. Lori is asking, would you use the same pastry cream for cream puffs?
Yes, you do. What I like to do with my cream puffs is I'll make this cream and then I'll whip some heavy cream and I'll fold it in to lighten it up. But you can use it just like this. We're getting there. We're almost full. Again, this kind of takes a while. Okay. I think we are just about done. Okay, so there we have our summer fruit tart with our vanilla bean pastry cream. And there you go. I hope
Wow.
everybody gives it a
That
try.
was so beautiful and so fast.
Thank you. Again, you know what? Prep the things beforehand. Don't make it all. You're not going to make it all in one. You could make it all in one day. But make it easy on yourself. You can do the cream and the tart shell the night before, and then just put it all together the next day, maybe an hour or two before you're going to serve it.
Do you need to glaze fruits?
You can. Some people will glaze it, take a little apricot preserves, and if they have chunks of apricot in it, I would heat it up, strain it so that there's no chunks in it, let it cool a little bit, and then just brush it on with a pastry brush. And that'll make the fruit really, really glisten. I would do that like right before you're going to serve. Maybe 15, 20 minutes before you're going to serve.
So you don't need to add any water or anything, just
No, I mean, if you heat it up, it'll thin. I wouldn't add any water to it. It'll probably get too watery.
Oh, it's beautiful. Makes us all
Thank
hungry.
you.
And it was so easy. Well, watching you, of course.
You guys can do it. I know you guys can do it. I have faith in all of you.
Okay, well, thank you. Please send me pictures of your creations.
Yes, definitely, if anybody makes it, please send it to the library. Send them to me. You can tag me on Instagram at the Italian Cookie, or I'm Tina Zaccardi Bakes on Facebook, and there's always my website, tinazaccardi.com, where you can message, send me an email. So you can reach me anytime.
Thank you.
I have a couple of classes that I'll be doing for the Bronxville Adult School. They should be getting up on their website in the next week or so. So if you want to check those out, I'll be doing a pumpkin roulade. I'll be doing 3 Christmas cookies, and I will be doing a cranberry cheese Danish galette. So the fee is, I think they're charging $50-$55 a class, but it's it's in person, part hands-on, part demonstration, and you get to go home with some goodies. So it's well worth the price. So if anybody's interested in getting their hands dirty and baking with me, check those out.
So that information will be on your website or on their website?
If you go to, I will link it. But if you go, I don't think the classes are out there yet, but it's Bronxville Adult School I want to say net. I don't think it's .com. So I'll have that linked on my website. I don't think the classes are out there yet. One is on October, 2 in November. We're doing 2 cookie classes, and then the other cookie classes in December. So.
Do you know how many people they will allow?
We cut it off at 10 per class. But if they see that there's a lot of interest, if we get 10 and there's like a waiting list of 6 or 7 people, I may do another section. So.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That was
Fabulous as always.
Hi, Donna.
Hi, Miss Tina. Fantastic.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Like I said, I know it's a beautiful day, and might rather be outside, but thank you for hanging out with us for this past hour. And I hope everybody tries this. It's absolutely delicious. I mean, also if you're the tart is probably the hardest thing to do. And if you're just don't want to do the tart, this pastry cream is beautiful with just fresh fruit. Just put it in a bowl and put some fresh fruit over it, maybe a little dollop of whipped cream, and you've got yourself a really nice dessert. So, do as much as what makes you comfortable. So,
Thank you so
you're
much.
welcome.
So,
Thank you.
people who
Good afternoon,
participated-
everybody.
Yeah, people who participated will receive a link to our YouTube. We will post video on YouTube.
And again, if you're making it, the correction is it's 1.5 cups of milk, not 1 cup for the pastry cream. So that was the only, I think, typo.
Okay, thank you.
Ciao, Tina.
Ciao, everybody.
Ciao.
Thank
Have a great
you.
afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, Bella.